hat I'm wearing today is with the Consumer Goods Forum. The Consumer Goods Forum is a large organization, an international business organization that is focused on a number of issues in both retailing and in consumer goods manufacturing. But just as I branch into that or go into that, and Sobeys is a member of the Consumer Goods Forum, I'd like to tell you a bit about our company because there may be some people coming here from outside of Canada who don't know Sobeys. Sobeys is Canada's second largest food retailer. It was founded in Nova Scotia on our east coast about 109 years ago, and we operate roughly 17 banners across Canada, 17 banners being different brands of stores in our network. Across that network, we have 1,500 stores in 940 communities, and we employ 125,000 Canadians. So we're a relatively big company. What you'll see on the screen there are some of the more popular, the more common banners for our business. In terms of talking about reducing waste in general, and specifically food waste, this is an everyday concern for retailers and manufacturers. And there's a number of reasons for that, but what I do is I'll talk to about three of them that come up to top of mind. So the first one is it's because our consumers care. People who are shopping at our stores care about waste and food waste. And the trending information we see from our consumer research people is this is becoming an area of larger interest in Canada. The second reason is it's the right thing to do from the environmental perspective. Every product has a carbon footprint and a water footprint, and anything we can do to reduce waste will help save those resources for other purposes. And the last reason I'll talk to today is just because it's financially an advantage for the company to do that. And what I mean by that is for us to dispose and process waste, whether that's food waste or other waste, is a real cost to our business, which is relatively low margin. And so anything we can do on that improves the overall financial health of our individual companies. So what is the Consumer Goods Forum? So the Consumer Goods Forum is a well-respected international organization. It has in excess of 400 members. Those members are split almost evenly between retailers and consumer packaged goods manufacturers, but there are also some service providers to our business that are included in that. It's an organization that works pre-competitively. And by pre-competitively, I mean we come together at an industry level to work on and to solve and create new solutions for common problems. The CGF organizes its work in roughly 4 pillars. So those 4 pillars are end-to-end supply chain, health and wellness, product safety, and sustainability. It's in the sustainability pillar that about 4 years ago we began working seriously on food waste, and it's in that sustainability pillar today where the food waste work continues. What I would suggest to you, because I don't have enough time to go through this today, but if you were to go to the CGF website, there's a great amount of wealth of resources and information available there, and then we freely share with anybody who's got a level of interest. So if we had the Food Waste Committee, what came out of that committee, or one of the first parts that they did, was last June, we announced a CGF, a member food waste commitment. And what is that commitment? Well, it's to halve food waste from our operations by 2025. You'll see that it supports the UN goal of reducing consumer level of food waste, but it also is, it's the commitments we use in the Consumer Goods Forum, and this is something we used successfully in the past. They always come out as realistic sort of stretch targets that challenge our industry to move forward. And to halve food waste in less than 10 years from our direct operations is an aspirational challenge. It's an inspirational challenge that will motivate action on our half. What we will see across that, I think, is we'll start to see innovation across the entire food chain, and also start to see more, in a smaller sense, maybe circular economies in terms of food production. The food loss and waste protocol, so that was mentioned a little bit in the last presentation, but the food loss and waste protocol is the first time there's been a set of definitions and a standard reporting methodology for food waste, ever, on a global basis, and it's been accepted by the standard by the CGF and other organizations in terms of this is the way we will monitor our progress going forward. Go too quickly. I didn't. So the food loss and waste protocol is now operating at a different level of detail and depth than we've seen before. So what is the CGF doing? Well, what I wanted to talk to you today, we've got 4 examples on this thing, and these examples come from a workbook we've just published in the last week. So typically what the CGF does is we put these committees together, we make these commitments, we start to move forward, but we need to kickstart in terms of how the action will go forward. And what we have done, and we've done this successfully in the past with our refrigeration work, is put together a set of case studies or best practices that organizations can then use to start their own efforts and start to move forward on projects and initiatives of their own. The 3 on there, and I'll start in the top left corner. The first one there is Nestle, and some work that Nestle did on their milk supply chain in Pakistan. What Nestle found is when they applied that food loss and waste protocol, that they only had 2% waste in their supply chain. Pretty good stuff. But what they found when they started to look into larger industry, they found that transportation and collection outside of Nestle was running at a waste loss of about 15 to 19%. So what Nestle did right away was they started to give some of their best practices to the rest of the industry and start some learning and some teaching and moving across there and help the whole industry raise their level of efficiency going forward. The 1BCU side that, and I'm talking going to the right, is something on misfits and vegetables. And it's hard to believe to me sometimes, or I find it hard to believe, that it's been only 2 years and a little bit. So it was only June of 2014 that it was Intermarché in France who started the first true ugly fruit and vegetable campaign. Since then, it was an overnight sensation and a success, and since then that idea has been copied by food retailers around the world and is in place in Canada and other areas, and Sobeys does that, especially in our Quebec division, in terms of as a way to help reduce loss at farm level, but also to reduce processing loss. And there's the 2 here, so I'll just start to wrap up. The one you see in the bottom right corner is about Bolthouse carrots. John is going to be coming from Camels, and Bolthouse Farms is their subsidiary. He'll speak more to that, but it was such a great example. And true confession, I love carrots. I just didn't want to make sure it didn't get missed. The last one is a retailer that basically went from using corrugated cardboard containers to using recyclable plastic containers to handle their egg traffic. And what they did was they saved 39 million eggs over the course of a year in terms of less breakage by switching their packaging equipment. So that's my presentation. I hope you've learned a bit more about the consumer goods forums and what we've done, and I look forward to speaking with you later on questions. Thank you.